You too.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being at our April meeting of the Arlington County Democratic Committee. We are an open and welcoming committee. Everyone is welcome here. Please observe any health precautions. If you're having symptoms, hopefully you stay at home and are joining us on Zoom. Otherwise, feel free to mask up if you're more comfortable doing that. And if you've got a cough, maybe find a chair a little bit further away. Go sit with Scott. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here tonight. And again, we got a really great agenda tonight. We've got some announcements to make, and then we're going to have a candidate introduction, Sean Epstein. And then we are going to get some of our committee updates and have the very exciting school board candidate forum. How many people are here for the first time tonight? Please raise your hand. Thank you so much. I know I don't need to tell anybody that we are in a different time and a different place right now, and we need to take action every day, and all the new people that we can get to join us and help us in that effort. Really, really helpful. So stick around after the meeting. We've got people we'd like to introduce you to. I know our precinct operations people are here at the back of the room. I started as a precinct captain. A lot of people started as precinct captains. Like the greatest job you'll ever do in your life. I know our Beyond Arlington folks are here. We do a lot of help outside of Arlington. So we got a lot of people for you to talk to if you're interested in getting involved. And our membership coordinator, Menawar Khalil, is back there as well. Thank you for being here, Menawar. All right, community events. Deputy Chair Paul Ruiz.
All right. So in our what's going on? Okay, so in our effort to sort of build communities with one another, we've been doing these monthly socials. This month's social is Paint and Sip. It's at Used Paint Bar. $30 hits you in. It's from 7 to 9 on Thursday. And then in May, we're looking at doing a barbecue. So if you want to get involved with that, here's the QR code. Please scan it. You also can talk to Menawar, who's at the back. Menawar, wave again. And for myself during the meeting. Thank you.
Next slide. We finally had a good day yesterday. Yeah, I've been hoping all year long that someone would show us how to do this. That one. And finally it happened. So Senator Cory Booker restored our faith in democracy, broke the record for a filibuster. Better than that, the previous record was held by Senator Strom Thurmond from South Carolina as he protested the Civil Rights Act, right? Big boo. So thank goodness. How did we not think of that one sooner? But now we've broken that record. So thank you, Senator Booker. That wasn't all we did yesterday. Big win in Wisconsin, 10-point margin in that race, sent, a certain car manufacturer home packing. Let him know that, elections cannot be bought. I think. All right. And now, technical support. Yeah, so Kim Malinowski is here, and he's gonna go into the Beyond Arlington presentation a little bit later. I don't want to do too much of this, but, really great win, yesterday. It felt so good just to have those two things under our belt, and yeah, absolutely. And the Florida races as well, you know, we didn't win those, but we really closed the margins down on what they might have been otherwise, so. The momentum is definitely behind Democrats right now. And we don't want to let that momentum slide, so I hope everyone will join us. I know there's some things in the chairs that have QR codes on them. They're in DC this Saturday, there's a hands-off rally. Absolutely. We are going to convene at the courthouse Starbucks. I think it's 10:30, and Metro downtown together to maybe Federal Triangle, and head on over to the Black History Museum. Don Beyer will be speaking to some of our indivisible groups, WOFA and some other indivisibles, at 11:30 down at the Black History Museum. Join us. We're going to listen to what great advice he has to share, and then head on over to the Washington Monument. We're going to have 2 sign-making parties tomorrow night and Friday night. If you sign up for this via our Mobilize event, we will in turn send you the sign-up link for the sign party. And we're going to try to get those out a little bit later tonight. So please, you know, while you're here, sign up for this rally if you can attend, and watch for that information on the sign in. And looking forward to it. Yeah, so we got a couple other things going. We're going to be planning for our 3rd federal employee town hall. It's probably going to be the first week of May. If you have not gotten a sign already, we support our federal employee yard signs. They're in the back of the room. We are asking for a $10 donation for the sign. It's going to support a lot of our efforts this year, our outreach efforts, our talking to voter efforts, and would love to have your support and have you pick up a sign tonight if you can. That's not all. Our Commonwealth attorney is in the house tonight, Parissa Dagani. And her annual event, the Nowruz celebration, is coming up. It is tomorrow, 6 to 7:30 p.m. at Kebab Bazaar on Wilson Boulevard. So everyone, please join Parissa for that great event. And not over yet, our Congressman Don Beyer, along with Senator Barbara Favola, delegates Alfonso Lopez and Del McClure, are doing their own version of a town hall. It's more of a legislative update, information session, and that'll be at Central Library, and that is April 29th. I think it's a Tuesday night. So be sure to join our congressmen and senator and delegates at that great event. Our town hall will probably be the week after that, and ours will have attorneys that, you know, if you are a federal employee or a contractor, they'll give you some very specific advice on what to do with all the emails and the offers that are coming your way. And you can ask them questions. Also, our BBD dinner is coming up. Let me welcome up Jesse and Jay. Yeah.
And I'm just stepping in for our treasurer, so I'm gonna give you real quick to present on our Blue Victory dinner, which is coming up on April 26th. Unfortunately, if you were a late bird, you missed the early bird prices, and so regular tickets are now $209. Or if you just want to come to the after party and hang with the Whiteys, you can now and after the ticket for $50. I'm primarily here to talk about our silent auction. Yay! If you haven't already received an email from me, that means I haven't done my job right. So I will be following up with you. But I'm very excited to announce that our silent auction will be going live in just 10 days. And we already have some really amazing donations up online for you to check out and start planning out your bids. Here are just a few sneak peeks of what you will see online. And you can check out our webpage by going to next slide real quick. 32auctions.com/BBP 2025. And all of our auction items will be going live for bidding 2 weeks before the dinner on April 12th. You'll be able to bid on items up until the dinner itself. Bidding will close on the 26th at 7:45 promptly, which will be right when we transition into our actual dinner. So I hope you all take time to check out some of the amazing items we have. We have everything ranging from physical gift cards, experiences with our local elected reps, and other really fantastic items. It is also not too late to donate yourselves, and I really encourage you to take this as an opportunity to build a community with everyone here, as well as with our broader Arlington community. So I will be in the back if you have any questions, and I really encourage you to come talk with me. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jesse. All right, now next up is our candidate announcement. And I'm going to welcome up Sean Epstein, who is running in our first district.
What's up, everyone? You have any Commanders fans out there? No Commanders fans. I got one Commanders fan. Wow. Hopefully we'll transition to more. So I've got a speech prepared, but before I go to that, I did want to just say a few things. Number one, Steve, thank you very much for all the work you do on a constant basis, tireless and often thankless job. And I think we all think you do a fantastic job. So thank you. The second, I'd like to thank Noah, who's actually taking a call right now, but I think the fact that Noah is here on a Wednesday shows the significance of Arlington to Don Beyer and to his priorities. And I think we thank you for that. Now I'm brand new to this and Steve runs a tight ship, so I'm going to do my best to keep it to roughly 5 minutes, but there's some points I definitely wanted to get out there. So first, thanks for coming out, because regardless of where we fall on the political spectrum, we are all taking the time to participate. Hold on, I'm getting an extra 30 seconds for a mic check. Is that right? We good? Okay. So first, thank you all for coming out. And I truly mean this, because regardless of where we fall on the political spectrum, we are all taking our time out to participate in democracy, rooted in the belief that the marketplace of ideas is vast and should include everyone. My name is Sean Epstein, and I am here because, like you, I believe that we can do better. Our politics today are toxic, short-sighted, and hyper-partisan, and they are unsustainable. Many Arlingtons are already exhausted by it. Now, I'm not going to dwell on the current state of affairs across the river. To me, they are self-evident. Instead, I'll talk about how I think, what led me here, and why I believe I'm your best option for the House of Delegates in District 1. If only for the 90 million voters who did not participate in the 2024 election, or those that changed party allegiance in the voting booth, or those that just didn't feel strongly about their choices, I believe the Democratic Party needs a new identity and a fresh set of leaders steeped in 3 simple notions. 1, practical solutions. You won't always get what you want, but the government should help you get what you need and figure out how to do it better if it can't. I believe much of this can be addressed by improving bureaucratic processes, red tape, and technology. 2, Principal prosperity. Public-private partnerships are critical for growth in the community and the evolution of Arlington. Roads, bridges, utilities, but they must be measurable and bidirectional. 3, people over party. Good ideas come in many shapes and sizes, regardless of who the messenger is. And we need to consider all of them seriously. My journey began in South Florida. As a newborn, I was given up for adoption, then bounced around foster homes and orphanages. At 18 months old, I was chosen by 2 caring people who gave me a shot. I took full advantage of this opportunity, going on to become a national champion debater, a competitive junior tennis player, a community activist, and a campaign volunteer for many of the 80s and 90s Democratic leaders, Bob Graham, Michael Dukakis, and Bill Clinton. I went on to attend the University of Virginia, where I proudly paid my own way for my education. Whether waiting tables, delivering Chinese food, dressing in poorly fitting catering tuxedos in swampy Charlottesville heat, or eventually managing rock and roll bands. That time taught me the value of hard work, goal setting, and sacrifice. There were very few fraternity parties for me. 30 years on, navigating the global business, technology, and investment world gives me a slightly different take than lifelong party politicians and those that seem to be shocked by what is happening today. I don't believe government is the problem, but I don't believe it can be the solution for everything. We don't have a lot of time tonight, and I'll be publishing more detailed policy positions across the next few weeks. But let me touch on a few voter-suggested topics. 1, state resilience. It is uncertain how and where the red wave will spread, but it comes with a push, as you know, to defund states, eliminate jobs, and threaten basic civil liberties. We need to shore up our finances, true, to support, but the administrative process efficiency is what I worry about. I worry about the ability to scale up and execute with velocity. Requests for money coming in for people are great, but if you can't put the checks in the mail in weeks, got issues. EdTech. EdTech is a space I've spent some time in. I personally would like to see Arlington double down on personal learning AI technologies that can improve student outcomes and teacher experiences. Note, we're solving on both dimensions here, students and teachers. And this is just the tip of the educational technology innovation. Building efficiency. In order to keep Arlington attractive and affordable, we must build. We need to balance growth with capacity and sustainability. One takeaway from California's high-speed rail fiasco is that while legislation, public support, and funding may have been there, environmental reviews, eminent domain proceedings, and any number of bureaucratic hoops cannot keep up with the pace of growth. And if so, we need to unstick them. It's ridiculous. Public-private partnerships, last. We do a pretty good job of managing the big ones, right? The Amazons. But I believe the key is how do we scale that up with your startups, your small and your medium-sized businesses, such that they see that Arlington is leaning in and they feel an obligation to do so as well. As your representative, I will tirelessly address the issues facing our community, our state and local resilience, our education system, economic innovation, and preserving the quality of life we cherish here in Arlington. Because ultimately, it's not about left or right, it's about moving forward side by side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. All right, let's see, where'd the
Go flag, sir.
Still have it. All right. Let's see, we're gonna welcome up precinct operations, Sarah Lamprey. Thank you so much.
Hello, hello, hello. Before I get into it, we do have one amazing new precinct captain to officially welcome into our Arlington Democrats Precinct Office family. So can I have a motion to approve Michelle Piercy as a new precinct captain in Aurora Hills? Do I have a second?
All those in favor? Anyone want to oppose this one? Okay, okay. Give a big round of applause for Michelle Piercy for stepping up. Who is fired up about that win last night in Wisconsin? Really fired up. Maybe people think our November. We're getting fired right unfairly. We have the opportunity to enshrine abortion rights in our Constitution, but we cannot do that if we don't maintain control of the House and Senate, and if we don't elect Democrats to the governor's mansion, lieutenant governorship, and most importantly, the attorney general, because we're gonna need someone to defend our rights and stand up to Donald Trump for the next 4 years. So critical that this fall we turn out every last Democratic vote in Arlington so that we can offset the rest of the state, right? That is our job. We didn't do it in 2021, but we can do it in 2025 this November. And it starts right here, right now with organizing year round. I'm really proud to say that we've had wonderful trainings already this year. We've got more on the way. But if you're new tonight and you're thinking, how the heck can I get involved? I'm mad, I'm angry, I want to channel my rage into something. Come find me. I'm in this Protect Training Kid Sweatshirt. We can talk, we can get you involved, whether that's with precinct ops or with another functional area. That's what we're here to do, right? There's a place for everyone in this party. If you want to organize hyper locally, come find me and we can get you plugged in. There will be a slide up, I'm sure soon, that will show you the precincts where we need some particular help. Some extra. There's me. But I can tell you for sure that we are really looking for someone in Wakefield. So if you live in South Arlington, in or around the Wakefield neighborhood, come find me. We can talk. We can get you involved. And we I on April 12th, we have training to how to manage volunteer lists, how to pull people in, how to keep them on the list, how often you should communicate with them. So refer to my emails to sign up for that and get the Zoom link. And you can see here that a couple weeks ago, we had a wonderful mini retreat for our wonderful new precinct captains. Can I get a show of hands, everyone in here who's a precinct captain? Oh my gosh, look at that. So if you want to get involved, find me. It's one of the easiest on-ramps into the party. We'd love to have you. And if that's a little too intimidating for you and you want an even easier on-ramp, I invite you to join us for our upcoming book club, which will be taking place Tuesday, May 6th. We are reading Real Americans by Rachel Khong. That is our AAPI Heritage Month pick for May. We meet the first Tuesday of every month, and the books for the rest of the year are on this next slide here. So if you want to go ahead and put a hold on at the library, this is your list. These are the dates. We're not meeting the first Tuesday in November because that is election day, and hopefully we will be celebrating very hard that night. But please take a look, come join us. We do these in person. It's a great way to build a community. We had a lot of fun discussing the fraud last night. So if you want to be part of it, please join us at the next one. Okay, and then I don't know, Rachel, do you want to pop up here and talk about some of the amazing work you're doing to engage precinct captains in voter registration events?
Hi, everyone.
Get it right into the mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. All right, so we've got a new initiative to try to get regular voter registration events at all of our 10 different farmers markets in Arlington. There's already a regular event that goes on in the courthouse almost the entire year. I think they're going to be starting up again on Saturday. And now we have some of our great precinct captains and other volunteers who are planning events at Ballston, Sherrydale, Columbia Pike, Green Valley, Lover Run, and Bent Park in Westover, in April, all those different farmers markets, both to register new voters and to get out the word about the very important elections that are coming up this year, and kind of just to show that we Dems are engaged and ready to do the work to take our country back. And we're also looking for additional people who want to do events in other locations. Metro stops are usually great places to register voters. If anyone is interested in working on something like that, please come visit me. You go to the next slide. We've got there's a couple of locations where there's multiple events planned, so we put up some mobilized links to volunteer for those. So there's the courthouse event that's kind of a regular event that goes on all year that Colleen runs, and I think she's here tonight. And then there's multiple events that are gonna be at Met Park and Columbia Pike Farmers Markets. Anyway, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Like I said, if you're new, you want to get involved, come find me. We'd love to get coffee, come visit you, join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Rachel. All right, now from our outreach committee, I'm gonna bring up Brian Cohen.
Speaking on Democrats. So how many of you all are excited that Elon Musk just lit $26 billion on fire? So, quick show of hands, how many people wrote postcards? How many people made phone calls? And how many people are excited to kick some ass moving this week and going on taking back our game? A couple of points here. This is our outreach team. I'm the co-chair for outreach. So Zach Lennox is our chair. We have multiple caucuses. If you are interested in working with us in any capacity, please reach out to either myself or Zach or anyone affiliated with the outreach team. We'd be extremely happy to have you on. There is always work to be done. You know, right now, the biggest important thing we need is your time. Whatever you can do, whatever you feel comfortable doing, please feel free to volunteer. Next slide, please. All right, so we have a couple of outreach announcements. The first, on April 3rd, we have our Labor Caucus monthly meeting. It's virtual at 6 p.m. On April 5th, we have our first Courthouse Farmers Market of the season from 8 to 12 p.m. And we talk to myself, Zach, or Colleen, who is in the back right now. Like any more details on that. Next, we have GPBA Women's Caucus Building Bridges event, and that's 2 to 4 p.m. in Vienna. And lastly, on our nearby events, we've got on April 26th, the Outreach HVAC volunteer event from 9 to 10:30 a.m. So if you are interested in volunteering, we're going to be packing up food, sorting groceries and donations. Please reach out to myself. You can find me. I'll be walking around. If you'd like to volunteer, I'll be there, and it's a great opportunity. We've been doing it for 2 years now, and I'm excited to keep moving on with this project. It's a great use of time. Next, we'll have our caucus leadership vacancies that we need to be filling out. One, we have the Equality Caucus Chair, so if you're interested in that volunteer role, please reach out to me. We also have the Disabilities Caucus Leadership Board as well. So again, reach out to myself or Zach if you've been serving. We have please donations. I think I saw Charlie Conrad a second ago, but you see Charlie Conrad, our military veterans families caucus chair. He has been collecting donations, so please either reach out to him or myself at any point if you'd like to donate. We do it every meeting. Continue to do so. Next slide.
Also, Brian, the Labor Caucus has been postponed to the 10th.
Okay, great. So now the date is the 10th for the Labor Caucus meeting, still at 6 p.m. So thank you for attention to that. Next, I just want to quickly talk about something that's really important in our community. Obviously, with everything going on with just federal government and how much uncertainty there are a lot of downstream effects there for families who are relying not only on the federal government for housing assistance, but also any number of jobs that have been lost, not just directly with the federal government, but also all the downstream ones. So if you're a contractor, your contracts would be at risk. If any of your food benefits, SNAP, if you were using, as we know, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security are all at risk. Any of these are at risk right now, and there is a great opportunity to help your community through the Arlington Community Foundation. They have the shared prosperity trust fund, which basically is a means by which they are able to finance many of their initiatives to deal with the affordability, childcare affordability, and immigrant rights services. So if you feel so inclined, please scan this QR code and it brings you to a page to donate. They use these resources to help fund any number of their great projects. It's something that I think we can all recognize the value of, especially right now. So please feel that at this moment, we need to put as much of ourselves on the line to make sure that our entire community is safe. Next slide, please. And lastly, for the Black Caucus, we have written up a statement. So in 2023, in Tyson's Mall, an African American man, Timothy Johnson, was murdered by the police. He was accused of shoplifting. Recently, fall of 2024, that police officer was convicted. He obtained 3 years sentence in prison with 2 years suspended sentence. However, Governor Youngkin recently decided to pardon him. He, instead of standing up for Virginians and making sure that our federal workforce is protected, he decided to use political capital to pardon a murderer who, in fact, had run afoul of Fairfax County's own use of force regulations. That's who we decided to pardon. That's who we went out to lend a hand to instead of the hardworking folks across this Commonwealth. So read here statement that the Black Caucus is written, that we stand not only in solidarity with the victim's family, but also the larger Black Caucus as we strive to do right by our community in the face of the kind of reckless action that this governor is taking. Thank you. And that I will pass it back over to Steve.
Thank you, Brian. I'm going to welcome up Arlington Young Democrats with Brian Atkins, nice and live. Hello.
Sorry about that. I had a lot of fun last night when I saw Elon blow all this money. So my voice is still recovering, screaming a lot. But quick question: who here has donated to AYD this year? Raise your hand. There's like 60 of you, so raise your hand. Come on. I just want to say I'm not here to ask you for more money this week. 3 months in a row would be a little tacky. I'm actually here tonight to say thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you who gave us money so we can send our largest convention delegation we've sent in over a decade. And we didn't just go for this photo. We went for education sessions, we went to get activated, and we went to learn what we need to do in November. And one of the things we learned that we have to do in November is help our rural Democrats. We and AYD said, you know what, AYD to the rescue. So Brian and I just got done touring a venue that we are going to have a fundraiser for Lily Franklin at. And it's not just any venue, it's called the Arlington Treehouse. So it's a really cool venue, but we also learned a lot of things about how to push back on GOP culture wars, on how to message on things like getting rid of the Department of Education and the impact on special education services. And we also work to strengthen our regional cooperation. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of AYD working with the Fairfax Young Dems, working with the Alexandria Young Dems. Because in an election year like this, Arlington doesn't have any swing seats, but Prince William County does, Stafford County does, Loudoun County does, Richmond does, and all the way down 95 has swing districts. So we're going to work with those folks to make sure we can flip as many seats blue as possible. So in summation, thank you all so much for your help to make sure we can activate 31 young people this year, and we are getting to work to make sure we can flip seats blue this year.
Need all of our friends across the state, which we had 311 people. Last year was 152. So the energy is a lot. So let's one of our very own Meg Flores is our vice chair for the teaching conference. So, you know, it was past weekend, so we're slow getting started, but, we will be running out of the gate soon, and we'll let you know which you can support us. But again, thank you for your donation. This is like one of the best conventions we've had in a while. Alright, and then our upcoming events, we'll be having a trivia night with, our neighbors in Alexandria.
See, told you we're operating.
We'll be at Lost Boys Cider Thursday, April 24th at 7 p.m. And we will have more April events coming soon. We have our planning meeting tomorrow, so keep an eye out on our emails and social. And I know we want to hear from our two great school board candidates, so we'll cut it here. Baker.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Arlington Young Democrats. Nick Malinowski, beyond Arlington.
How's everyone feeling tonight? Excellent. Just got a couple slides for you. The first one is called Calling, because that's what we did. First to Prince William and into Wisconsin. We spent the last couple months calling Wisconsin from my living room and a bunch of other places across Arlington. So we joined last night, on Monday night, it was 277 volunteers from around the country calling into Wisconsin, which led to this. Which is winning. So I want to make it very clear, we won by a lot. 10 percentage points is a lot. That's a big, big victory. So our calls didn't make the difference because there were so many calls. We won by almost 250,000 votes, which is pretty extraordinary. But this is a big, big win. So that is a great victory to have to protect abortion rights, protect voting rights, and also as an educator, down ballot, there's a superintendent of public instruction, Jill Underley. She also won against a person who was trying to promote school vouchers and all that. And winning feels a lot better than this. You know what? Money can buy you a lot of things, money can't buy you love, and money can't always buy you votes. Let's move on. Here is the big board. These are from our friends at the Down Ballot. If you ever Google the Down Ballot, they do fantastic work looking at all these special elections across the country. Since that dark day in November, Democrats across the country have been outperforming Kamala Harris's margins by 11%. If we made an 11% swing across the country, that means we win an enormous number of seats. So this is some very, very, very good news as we turn to Virginia, because this is where we go next. This is from our friends at the Virginia Public Access Project, VPAP, and they have listed here the competitive districts. Many of these districts in the red and blue, and also, now let me say, if we perform as well as Susan Crawford just did in Wisconsin, all of those blue and red, all of those light pink, all of those become blue. That would give us a 10 to 15 seat majority in the House of Delegates rather than a 6 majority. So we've got a ton of work to do, and the filing deadline is tomorrow. Tomorrow is when you have to file to be on the ballot. So if your paperwork is not in and you want to be a candidate, it is going to be too late to be on the ballot. So what that means is by Friday, we will know our Democratic nominees if they don't have a primary, and we'll start calling for them as soon as we can. There's other special elections we have our eye on. In Minnesota, the Democrats have the state Senate there by exactly 1 seat. There is a special election coming up on April 29th. There's a primary, I believe, April 14th. So we're going to be looking at that. We might be making some calls there. But we're going to be laser focused on these House of Delegates races. And the reason I say that, and don't get me wrong, when we call for the House of Delegates, the first question is, will you be voting for Abigail Spanberger for governor? Will you be voting for the Democrat for lieutenant governor? Will you be voting for the Democrat for attorney general? After those 3 questions, then it is, will you be voting for Josh Thomas? Will you be voting for Josh Cole? And will you be voting for another Democrat not named Josh? So those will be the questions, but we're going to be focused on this. And the last thing I want to leave you with is that 5 of these races in the Virginia House delegates in 2023, when they were last all up, were decided by less than 800 votes. And we lost all of those less than 800 vote races, I believe. So it was incredibly close. So what that means is our effort of calling, knocking, texting, all of that is a huge difference between a Democratic majority that is as narrow as can be and one that is broad to make a ton of things happen. So let's join, sign up. This link will take you to a Google form, a Google Doc that has a sign up to get involved with Beyond Arlington. We'd love to have your help here, but please help out in Arlington first, because every vote in Arlington matters enormously. We've got to get people involved. So see Sarah Lanford over there, see Fran, see your precinct captain. We need to be involved here, but then every once in a while we need to do something beyond Arlington too, because we don't want to just win in Arlington. We want to win all over Virginia, and that's it.
Thank you, Kip Malinowski. The best work we do beyond Arlington. Thank you, Kip, for all of that. All right, now the moment everyone has been waiting for, our school board candidate forum. And I'm gonna, couple things. One, I want to welcome up our moderator, former school board member, Noah Simon. A round of applause for Noah. But before I turn the mic over to him and have him explain to you how this process is going to work, if people have written a question on a note card, please raise your hand and we're going to have Jesse and Paul come around and pick those up. So without any further ado, Noah Simon.
All right, I'm gonna take a seat here. You don't need to see me, you need to see them. So welcome to the forum. Just some legal things before I start. By day, I'm Don Byers, District Chief of Staff, and ethically, I'm supposed to say that I'm not here in that capacity. It was nice to see him all over those slides though. But the things I'm doing tonight don't reflect any of his views necessarily. It has nothing to do with Don Byers or his office, now that we have that behind us. So we're gonna go through the rules very quickly here, but as a reminder, online voting begins for the school board April 19th and ends May 10th. In-person voting is Sunday, May 4th from 10 to 6 at WNL, and Saturday, May 10th, right here at Drew from 10 to 6. And now on to the rules that were adopted by the steering committee. This is the very exciting part, and I know that this is why you all came here. There are no opening statements, so there's that. Each candidate will receive 2 minutes for each question with up to 30 seconds rebuttal time per question if requested. The forum will consist of as many questions as the allotted time allows. With the last question asked, I've crossed out times a number of times. We're 8:25 right now. Ensuring sufficient time for the closing statements. Order of answering the first question was determined by a coin flip, and June won that. So Mo will go second, and that's the same that will happen for the closing statements. Lightning round, we'll have a couple of short answer questions where candidates have 30 seconds to answer if we have such questions. Some of these are a little bit difficult to answer in 30 seconds. Timekeeping, the candidates will be asked to strictly adhere to the time limits. They promised me they're going to. And the candidates will be provided with both a 30-second and 10-second warning, 10 seconds for the lightning round. Failure of either the 30-second or 10-second warning or both is not grounds to exceed the total time. And I have this discretion to adjust times of responses in the very, very unlikely event one candidate exceeds the allotted time. And I'll add, we all know that running for office takes time away from family and it takes a tremendous amount of courage. As such, I fully anticipate everyone here will treat our candidates and their responses and statements with the utmost respect. That's who we are as Democrats. So with those rules well understood and without further ado, please join us in welcoming Mo O'Brien and June Prom. Again, please submit your questions over there. They'll run them up. But we did have a number of questions online. So let us get started here. June, you have the first question. What is your observation of the relationship between the county board and the school board? And how will you positively contribute to keeping both sides collaborating productively?
Just want to make sure this is on. Thank you. The relationship between the school board and the county board is a critical relationship as we get most of our funding from the county board transfer every year for our budgeting. It's important to have those relationships on a personal level and a business level with the county board. And that is something that as a school board member, I will continue to do. I've worked really hard in the past few years to establish those relationships with county board members. And we have had conversations individually about their goals and the importance of education. One thing that I would like to see from the county board is education as more of a priority. If you look at their priorities for this year, education is almost an afterthought in the lowest bullet point on their priorities, which is slightly disappointing. So I'd like to have a conversation about that. And then the other thing is I would like to talk to the county board about other ways of getting revenue for our education system. One being possibly the new speed cameras that were installed in Arlington. Right now, those cameras are being used and the revenue that comes in from those is paying for the system itself. But I would like to request at some point that any excess, once the system does pay for itself, comes directly to the school system. Thank you. The relationship that I would like to see between the county board and the school board is always going to be one of collaboration. In my day job, I run a nonprofit organization called Challenging Racism. Our goal, our entire goal, is to collaborate across difficult lines to have conversations that we must have. It is to have conversations where we collaborate and we tell difficult truths. The collaboration that I see not only with the county board and the school board, it's also with our community. It is making sure that we all are engaged fully. We are looking at problems that we haven't seen. And although we are talking about schools and education and funding, I think the conversation that needs to be happening right now with the school board and the county board is the potential that we may lose federal funding and what we're going to do about it now. What are we going to do not only to prevent it, but how do we break out of our silos to start partnering with other organizations so that we have an answer prior to that happening.
Thank you. Well, this question is for you. APS hired a new internal auditor this year. If you were elected, what projects would you recommend the auditor work on and why?
Thank you. While I value that we had an impartial auditor, I do not feel that we had enough engagement with our community before we could make a decision about what projects we prioritize. We need to talk to families. We need to talk to educators. We need to talk to our students as well about what we prioritize. Looking at what the auditor suggested with the closing of Innovation Station was heartbreaking. I know that we have to make difficult decisions when finance comes along. But as a mother that moved here for the education of my child with special needs, these are conversations you have with families prior to making a decision. Data is not just dollars, it's families. It is about making sure that people are heard, that we are fully transparent in our decision-making, that we work not only with auditors as independent decision makers, but again, also with our families, our educators, our students. I think one of the things, or actually two of the things that I would like the auditor to see is to follow up on the audits that came from healthcare. Number one, that was a huge debacle in Arlington for every single employee who was told with very short notice that they needed to change their healthcare over. This left a lot of our educators in really tough spots. A lot of educators had really difficult medical conditions. And so I would like to see follow-up that once the audit's done, that's not it. So how is APS implementing the recommendations from the audit? The other would be the most recent HR audit. If you've read that, you know that HR in APS has some challenges. And so again, following up to make sure that the recommendations from the auditor were actually followed through on. I think we do need to take a deeper look at waste in our schools. There is a lot of wasteful spending on stuff. And I have said at previous school board meetings that if you want the photographic evidence, I will give it to you. I have seen boxes and boxes of books that will go into the trash every single year that we keep ordering. So perhaps a waste hotline or something like that can be looked at, but also an audit of student-facing positions versus non-student facing positions has to be something that we take a really deep look at in the future.
That's well, 30 seconds, please.
I would like to not see us go to any other hotlines. I think we've all had a chance to experience that with Governor Youngkin. What I would like to see is more town halls, more engagement directly from our educators, telling us what works, what books work, what programs work with our technology, with our iPads, what is working and what is not working, and prioritizing those, but definitely not hotlines to report teachers or anyone else that they feel is not sufficient. So regarding hotlines, I think it's important to remember that with the right context, it won't be looked at as ratting out teachers. But being an educator and being in the position that I'm in now, there are a lot of educators that are afraid of repercussions and retaliation if they speak up. So how are we gonna know if someone doesn't say there is waste happening in the school?
Thank you. Now we'll move to perhaps what is the hottest budget issue this year in APS, and it was touched on previously. Please give your position on the superintendent's proposal to move pre-K students attending the integration station program out of the children's school and into neighborhood-based classrooms next year.
I am not in favor of moving integration station out of its current position. A couple days ago, I had the opportunity to visit integration station and I spent a few hours there with staff. I've been at the school board meetings, listening to the parents speak about integration station being a magical space. And I really wanted to get a deeper understanding of what that was about. It is a magical place. What works for one special ed student is not going to work for all students. The magic of that place is that it is staffed by preschool experts, and the administration has their endorsements in preschool education. The peer mentoring that goes on from the kids and the students is amazing. And I would not support that. The kids will not get the same services if they are moved to another building. It will be very different. The outcomes will be very different. Thank you. Well, as I just said, I'm a mother of a child with special needs. And I know what it took to get him where he is. That is because of dedicated educators here at APS. I call their name often because they believe that he could thrive. While I do not agree that integration station should have been moved, I do think that we need to have a difficult conversation about our funding deficits. And we need to look at peer-to-peer modeling of those same educators. That, yes, it make it a magical place. We need to make sure that all of our pre-K educators make every neighborhood school, as we push in, as we have inclusion, a magical space. Only because of dedicated educators is my son that wasn't expected to thrive, graduating from college in a life skills program only line. Only because his teachers believed the classroom was a magical place to learn, to be seen, and to thrive. And so I know firsthand what parents are feeling when they have to make those difficult decisions. They still have their day job and they still have to take care of their families. We need to be more engaged with our families in advance. We don't make decisions just by data. Data is a wonderful tool, but so is full engagement of our families, of our teachers, of our parents that have the lived experience.
Thank you.
The other thing I wanted to point out about integration station is that these are conversations that administration should have had with these parents and staff before these recommendations were made, not after the fact. The school board and and administration sent out a survey to bus drivers asking them about how a change in their contracts would affect them. That was proactive. They did it before, what the impact would be. The other thing we need to understand about Integration Station is that the staff there help them navigate getting through this process of a diagnosis
Thank you,
and the community building.
thank you. Well, this question is for you, and let's stay with vulnerable populations. Although APS has made some progress in addressing disparities in outcomes, the gaps for English learners and students with disabilities remains disproportionately high. As a school board member, what would you do to address these disparities?
The first thing I would do as a school board member is make sure that we're broadening the dialogue with our English language learners, with our educators, with our students with disabilities and their families. In my day job, we have partnered with the National Education Association and the Civil Rights Department and Social Justice to make sure that we were developing curriculum that all educators across the nation could use to make sure all students are seen, all students are thriving, so that we do not allow implicit bias and systemic racism to be the outcome for what our students can do and what they can, how they can navigate the school system. When we look at our community, we are one of the counties that's been the most per capita per student, and the outcomes don't reflect that. We have to have a hard dialogue with uncomfortable truths about why that is. It's not because of our educators. It has become a systemic practice that have been around for a long time that people aren't willing to hear. We say we want progress. We say we have progressive values, but we have to be willing to hear uncomfortable truths. We have to be willing to take a step back, look at our own implicit bias, and figure out how we are going to serve all of our students, not just some. We all know that we have a very large population of English language learners in Arlington Public Schools. One of the things that I will do as a school board member is to put the data into action. We can't solve what we can't measure. So we need some transparency in how our students are performing. The other thing is looking at the ways that we are measuring success in our English language learners. We have testing and SOLs that are given in English. Can you imagine what it must be like as someone who does not speak English to try and take that test? You can read the words and understand the words, but if you don't have a cultural context to what the question is asking of you, how frustrating must that be? That is a huge problem. The other problem, and by the way, Senator Favola is working on some legislation on that, so yay. The other problem is that APS is cutting assistant positions in the EL department. And that is gonna have a huge impact on those kids. Assistants kind of bridge the gap for what is being taught in the classroom. They're the ones who often do the one-on-one work with the students and give them a lot of the context. It might be playing a game, or it might be reading something that will help them make sense of the world and the school system that they're navigating.
Thank you. And then following up on that, as we close out this segment of it, June, this is to you. What strategies do you propose for APS to continue to engage members of diverse communities?
I think we've made some really good strides. I think a lot of what APS does reflects our values as a community. I think we're forming some really great partnerships in the community. We have partnerships with actually Lowe's company or nonprofit, sorry. And then we have a lot of community partners that help with after school and outreach. We have the Aspire program, we have the Center for Youth Action. I mean, I can name a bunch of them, but I think we're doing a really good job. I think how we have all these systems set up, I think what we're working on now is maybe how we get the information out to these parents and students about how to access these programs. I love this question. Because engagement without action means nothing. Thank you, our nonprofit, and it's not mine, thank you for that, I do appreciate it. It is the communities, and it was founded by 2 retired educators, Palma Strand and Marty Swain. And they saw things in the schools, and this is why I say we need to talk to our educators, that people weren't saying over 20 years ago, or wasn't being discussed. That children of color, children with disabilities were not being served the same. And they needed to have a conversation about why that is. When we talk about taking actions, one of the proud moments that we've recently had is being able to look at how do we take that action. Challenging Racism recently finished a year of service and partnership with the Department of Human Services here in Arlington. We served 853 employees or more over an entire year. And in that time, what we heard is we have hearts of service and we're doing the work, and who else is having this conversation to talk about disparities? And so what we did is when we got a grant through Arlington County, so thank you Arlington County leadership, we decided to start a nonprofit cohort so that we could talk about organizational capacity building and looking at how we are fully inclusive as a community. APS can't do it alone. The community can't do it alone. Right now in that nonprofit cohort, we have 8, and we're hoping to grow to 24 this year. We have Arlington Food Assistance Center. We have Arlington Free Clinic. We have Aspire After School, CISNOVA, YMCA, Educational Theater Company, and our Stomping Ground. We are making sure across all sectors, special needs with our Stomping Ground, food, health, all areas of our community, that we are served and having the same conversation about how we grow capacity to address these areas each and every day. Because without it, we're going to keep having the same outcome.
Thank you. Well, this question will start with you. We're going to switch now to budget for no other reason than I can't read some of the questions, so I'm going to put a plug in for a handwriting course. We received several questions about the budget and likely constraints. What would you prioritize in the budget, and what would you be willing to cut to help balance it?
We don't cut people unless we are holding them accountable and they're not fulfilling their goals and their duties. We start with looking at what I like to say, and I'm an Arlingtonian, Arlington likes it shiny. We have got to look at, as we're building, making sure that we're hitting the needs, and sometimes we're not going to have all the wants. My mother would always tell me that I'm old enough for my wants not to hurt me, and I think we are too. There's a lot of things we can do. We need to make sure that our current buildings are structurally sound. We need to make sure that our buildings are accessible. We need to look at, as we're growing, that we're operating within the current structure of the building so we can be environmentally friendly. When I think about what I would like to cut as a school board member, I think it would be unfortunately some of the shining. We need to make sure that we're having programs that meet the needs of all students. My daughter is currently in a choice program. Without her public education dollars and her choice program in the budget, she may not have been diagnosed as dyslexic. And then I would have failed her, and APS would have failed her. We do not cut people. We have to look at programs. We have to see what parts of the programs are serving our students. We need to not take a doge approach and just take a hatchet to everything. We have to be more nuanced. We've got to lean into what is working, what is serving our students, what is serving our educators. And when we determine that, we expand upon it. And the things that aren't working, we cut.
So for those of you who don't exactly know how the budget works, again, we get most of our money, over 80% from the county. And we're given a number and we're told to make the budget work. So we don't actually write a needs-based budget. We stick this into this hole and hope it all works out. We do serve a diverse and challenging student population with ever-changing needs. But the fact is that benefits, special education, compensation right now is outpacing what is available in our budget. we do need to look at what positions and what programs are serving our students best. When it comes to changing curriculum, we need to rely on research-based pedagogy and things like that, rather than just jumping onto a fad without a lot of research. But in the end, we need to cut stuff and not staff.
Thank you. June, our first lightning round question, so this is exciting. Do you support continued collective bargaining for APS?
I love this question. Thank you. Absolutely 100% yes. As many of you know, I'm trying to talk fast. I'm the president of the Arlington Education Association, which is our educators union. During this time that I have been president, we won collective bargaining in Arlington, and were able to negotiate the first contracts, the most comprehensive in Virginia in the first 47 years.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations, educators. Absolutely, yes. I don't think we have to expand on that. If we don't pay our teachers, we won't have teachers, and then all of the conversation is a moot point.
That was exciting. Thank you. Sticking with budget, can you elaborate on what you view as waste in the school system and perhaps provide 2 examples? Well, we start with you.
Two of the things that I think are waste in the school system. I think that as we're spending money on students that don't reside in the county, that's a big waste of money. We know that the address verification, we started as a pilot to see, we found a lot of students that didn't live here in Arlington. The dollars that we do have in the budget should be for paying our educators and for serving the students that reside here in Arlington. The second thing I think we would need to cut. There's quite a few. What's my top? I think we would have to have a more nuanced dialogue about what is working best for best outcomes. As I said earlier, we cannot take a hatchet. We've got to be more nuanced. We have to slow down. We've got to look at what programs are serving our students and our educators best. And when we determine what is not cost effective, what is not fiscally responsible, that's the second thing we would cut.
Sorry, we're back to normal time.
Okay, so as I said before, it always needs to be stuff, not staff. And one of the advantages I have is that I worked in an elementary school for 7 years. So it's very easy at the top of my head to come up with 2 examples. It's hard not to come up with more. There's a workbook called Science Fusion.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. We get it every single year, and every single year it is not used, and guess where it goes? It should go in the recycling, but it probably goes in the trash. The second huge, big wasteful thing that I have seen is we used to have a program, I think it was called Learned Literacy, something like that. It was guided reading, very specific. You had to use it with fidelity to teach the kids reading and comprehension. And we had a whole room dedicated to that at Ashland Elementary School, and it was lined with books every level. And guess what happened to all those books when the APS decided that they didn't want to use LLI anymore? They all went into the trash. That is your tax dollars going into the trash. I've got more examples, but you only asked for 2.
Okay, question just came in, and this is for June. Please share your thoughts on the fear many families are experiencing because of ICE. And what can, or what are you able to do and act upon in this moment?
So, this is a topic that in my current position, I was able to start this conversation very early with the administration, even before the election results came in, just in case.
I had the conversation with Dr. Duran and the cabinet, what are we gonna do to prepare for this? And so they have started working early on planning, as we did as a union, on what we can do to help protect our employees. A couple things have happened since then. Arlington Public Schools has created a memo of understanding, I can't remember the acronym right now, with the police department. So it's taking responsibility off staff members if ICE shows up at a school, so a teacher or an educator won't have to deal with ICE. The general counsel comes, checks the warrants, makes sure that it's the right thing. Also with my work with the National Education Association, I lobbied for the school board to pass this school safe zone resolution, which they did pass at no additional cost in the budget, by the way. But what we are working on with parents too is helping them with the legal aspects. So if worst case scenario happens, they have directives. Who's gonna take my kids? Who can take my kid? That kind of thing. There's one more point that I lost, but I'll come back to it in rebuttal.
What would I do? What would I do as a school board member? What would I do as a community member is exactly what I'm doing now. Running a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to diversity, that is dedicated to inclusion, that is dedicated to empowering and inspiring people to challenge systemic bias and racism and administrations that believe the same. I would continue to work with partner organizations as a school board member, just like I mentioned, many of the same ones we do now, that are doing the hard work day in and day out, phone call after phone call, Zoom after Zoom, making sure that our community knows where the resources are. And one of the things I'd like to see APS doing is going into the community to talk about what those resources are. Because many of our neighbors, many of our community members are afraid to come out of their homes to get that information. I live off of Columbia Pike. That is my neighborhood. I'm in the neighborhood of Decade of Difference, which means you're more likely to die 10 years younger because of systemic inequities. What we're seeing with ICE and what we're seeing in fear with our children, our families, our community members, is because of those same disparities that have been around a long time. We have to be committed to doing the hard work. What I would do as a school board member is make sure that we are partnering with our leadership with one of the first questions, partner with our county board to make sure that all of our community members have that resource. Making sure that we are partnering with our nonprofit organizations and our businesses that value and stand by our community members to make sure that they can go into the communities wherever people's needs need to be met. And I would make sure that I would really like to see, I know it's an elementary school thing where we have like a bus line or a walking line. But because I live walking distance from Wakefield, I've seen the decrease in the number of children scared to attend the schools. And until we're able to have a conversation about it, figure out what we are willing to do as individuals.
Thank you. Yes, please.
I remember the thing that I forgot. The one thing that I wanted to just make sure that APS is aware of, and part of the ongoing conversation, is that a lot of these kids are traumatized right now, so we have to be very aware of police presence, because that can be triggering for our students right now. So just an awareness of, we like to think of the police as our helpers, and I believe that too, but I'm also not 6 years old, and it's very different.
Do you want to? Sure, please.
What I was saying, elementary school, I meant community partners. In my neighborhood, the parents get up and we walk in a line and we walk our children to school if you're in a walkable school district. So it starts with us. We hold our leadership accountable, but it starts with us as community members.
Thank you. We have more questions than we'll be able to get to regardless of handwriting, so I want to get to a couple more here. Continuing with the nonsense over the other side of the river. And Mo, this is to you. How can APS partner with current and recently terminated or separated federal workers to enhance student learning at school and or after school?
Yeah, if we wanted to see chaos, confusion, and cruelty, we could just look across the river. But here, We can take the approach that every community, every person that lives here is valuable. There have been some amazing town halls. I've attended them at Wakefield. There have been some hosted by Arlington Community Foundation. I think there's another one being hosted now, this weekend. We can take the approach as a school board and a school system to make sure a lot of people that have lost their federal jobs are in the Department of Education. I have friends sitting in this audience right now that work for the Department of Education. We can look at where are positions. We have a teacher shortage. We have a professional shortage. Why are we not looking into, actually, APS is looking into, because they've had a booth at Wakefield each time that I've been there. And I've stopped by to ask what are the positions that are open and how are we fulfilling them with people that have recently lost their jobs. We can also make sure that things go home. If it's Peach Jar that goes with my daughter and the phone, that they have all of the resources there. How do they get food? We don't have to be private. We're taking it to the community. How do they make sure that they get insurance? How do we make sure that they know where are the job fairs or free headshots or updating resumes? How are we doing that? We make sure that our parents and our grandparents know we put it in Peach Jar, we send it home. And we make sure that as our leadership and partner with the county leadership to do the same message, have the same resources for everyone in our community.
I think we're doing a good job with sharing resources for our federal workers. I think that we would be happy to have you in Arlington Public Schools. There is a huge talent pool. We would love to have you as a substitute. We have alternate route to teacher programs that we'd be more than happy to talk to you about. We would love for you to volunteer. What's your talent? What's your skill? Come share that. It could be as simple as coming to read a book to a kindergarten class. Like we will take you in whatever capacity that you are willing to give. We're gonna get through this by acting as a community. So whatever you are willing to give, we will take, and whatever you need from us, we will help you get that.
Thank you. And just because of time, we will go over a little. You're all laughing at the joke so much, so that took a little bit of time. So we're going to finish with this one before closing. And this is really the essence of what the school board is and what the school board isn't. The role of the school board is legally limited to three things: supervising the superintendent, passing the budget, and writing policies to govern the school system. You each have promised many things to the community if elected. How will you use the powers of the school board to achieve those promises?
First of all, I am not I'll be honest, I don't use the word promise. So I'm not going to promise perfection. I will do what I can as a school board member, knowing that as a school board member, we can't change necessarily the revenue and the budget. But what we can do is we can work with the community, make sure that the community is a partner with the school board, because everybody has something of value that they should bring to the table. If I am elected by you. So therefore, your voice should matter in all of the decisions that are made by the school board, and these are conversations that should be happening before big decisions are made. So we're only going to move forward, but I'm not going to promise you that everything is going to be great in the next 4 years. I can't make more revenue come in. What I can do is make thoughtful decisions about what is happening and the way to move our staff, our schools, and our students forward.
A friend recently told me on a walk, there's no problem you can't solve without education. It's true. Hunger, healthcare, education. As a community, we have a responsibility to everybody in the school system. What I would do as a school board member is everything that I can. Our school system deserves sound, reasonable leadership from someone who is dedicated to stand by their values no matter what. I've been saying for 2 years in conversation with one of the decisions that led me to run for the school board right now, that we have got to break out of our silos and we've got to work with community partners because they cannot do it by themselves. APS cannot. Educators cannot. It is a community effort. As a school board member, I would give my everything like I do every day Because when you are grounded in empathy, when you are grounded in a belief that our schools can be excellent, when you are grounded in engagement, true engagement, not just everybody has a voice, but that everyone is heard. We make better decisions. We hold ourselves accountable. In every meet and greet, every door knocking that I've asked, they're like, what do you need from me? I said, not only would I like your vote, I'd like you to hold me accountable, and I'd like your support after the election. I'd like you to come to school board meetings. I'd like you to come to the town halls. I'd like you to come with the county board and the school board to go down to Richmond to advocate for more funding for our schools. That's really where the rubber meets the road, and that's what I would do as a school board member.
Okay, I will say that there were a number of questions that were written down. I think the candidates will likely stay after class, so to speak, if you did want to talk to them to ask, use this opportunity. With that, we'll do 2-minute closing, starting with June.
I'm actually gonna stand because I feel like I'm a little bit hidden by this, and I'll try and speak quickly. So first of all, thank you, Noah, for being our moderator. Thank you to the Arlington Dems for holding this forum, and for you and the audience, and for the friends who have stuck by me. Thank you to my opponent as well. I'm a 23-year resident of Arlington and take pride in calling Arlington my home. Our family has experienced elementary and middle school, and now we have a sophomore at Washington Liberty. I also spent 7 years as an educator in the classroom. I have firsthand insight into the challenges and opportunities within our school system. I'm running for school board because I believe every student deserves access to a high quality education in a safe, supportive, and inclusive environment. I was twice elected by educators to serve as president of our local union. I spend my days advocating for our educators. I've celebrated their successes, and I've been there for them on their very hard days. If we don't advocate for our educators, we won't have the high quality education that we've come to expect. If you've been paying attention, you know I've been doing the work. I'm gonna skip a bunch of it because I see I'm already running out of time. As your next school board member, my decisions will be driven not by faith, but by data, educator and community input, transferable skill, and real experience. As you can see by my binder, I do my research. I don't seek to build a kingdom, but a community, one where every student, educator, and family is valued and heard. As Arlington voters, you have an opportunity to make a decision about what we really stand for. If you are not in favor of people like Betsy DeVos and Linda McMahon making decisions about educators because they have no experience in the classroom, your decision in this race should be an easy one. A vote for this educator is a vote for all educators. I'm June Prakash. I ask for your vote, your trust, and partnership in shaping the future of our schools. Together, we can ensure that APS remains a place where all students can thrive.
Thank you, June.
Okay. So thank you Noah, being a wonderful moderator. Thank you to my opponent. Thank you Arlington Dems and everyone here tonight and everyone watching. When I decided to run for the school board, I knew the sacrifice it would require. But I also know the responsibility that it carries. For every student, for every educator, for every community member. As a parent, I know the struggles that it feels like when you're constantly unheard, when you don't feel like your child is valued. As a community member, I know that strong schools build strong communities. That's a fact. And as a school board member, I promise you that I would never waver on my values. Faith is a big part of who I am. And I think it leads me every day to get up in gratitude to say, I get to lead change. I get to be of service. I get to talk to people about what the challenges are they see in the schools. What families are feeling like, that they do not feel that their children are safe to identify for who they are. I get to advocate them every day in my day-to-day job. And as a school board member, that doesn't stop. The school board does have 3 jobs: budget, policy, and the superintendent, hiring and direction.
But within those three jobs, there should always be empathy. There should always be true engagement. Then, and only then, can we strive to have excellence. We have the tools, we have the people, we have the passion to make Arlington Public Schools excellent. I am O'Brien. I am asking for your vote to support the values that I hold dear in our school system.
Thank you. Big round of applause for our candidates. Sorry about that. Pleasure in the volume. Thank you, Monique Bryan. Thank you, Jim Cobb. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, moderator Noah Simon, for being here. We had a few more electeds with us tonight. I want to give them a shout out. I saw County Board Member Julius J.D. Spain is with us tonight. County Board Member, guys, say that right? County Board Member, Susan Cunningham is with us tonight. And School Board Member Randy Turner is with us. Commonwealth Attorney Marissa Lee Taffy is with us. Clerk of the Court Paul Ferguson was with us earlier tonight. And I see one of our candidates for County Board, Takas Karen Townend, is with us tonight. Thank you, Congress. Did I miss anybody? Thank you guys so much for being here. It was a great forum, two great candidates. Stick around and talk to our precinct operations folks if you want. Talk to our Beyond Arlington chair, talk to the YDs. We got a few more minutes before we need to be out of here, so get your socializing in, and thank you for being here tonight.